So we're looking at the sight glass on the fuel tank. You can see the red fuel right there. Can you see the meniscus and the test tube? Right. Now look up top. Use your flashlight up there at the top. See that yellow valve on the other side? Can you see that valve?
Yes.
See how that's open? It's a quarter turn ball valve. It's open.
Yes. In line.
In line. So let's go back and remember where the fluid level is. See that armor piece right there, and it's up a little bit.
Yeah.
So remember where that is. Now look at the bottom. Can you see that yellow valve at the bottom?
Yes, it's vertical.
It's closed. Go ahead and open the yellow valve. Pull it to you. Okay, now tell me how much fuel we have in the tank. There you go. That's the truth. So that sight glass only works when the bottom and top valve are open. The top valve is an air valve. The bottom valve is a liquid valve. The reason we've got valves is if there's a fire in here, we don't want that tube breaking and feeding 500 gallons of fuel to the fire. So we close off that valve. So the problem, and this is embarrassing for the surveyor, he never opened that to see how much fuel he had in the boat. Because fuel weighs 7 pounds per gallon, and during the sea trial he reported we did 16 knots with 3/4 of a tank of fuel, when you actually only had a 1/4 tank of fuel. So go ahead and close that valve at the bottom, and then close the valve at the top, which is good practice. That way none of the vapors can come out of the top and none of the liquids can come out of the bottom. So now our fuel gauge on the dashboard is reading a little less than 1/4 or 1/8. So now we know that the fuel gauge is more accurate than we assumed it was earlier. So that is the truth, but only if you open both of those valves and you can see the liquid.
So how do we run the boat? With the top open?
No, that's only a sight glass. It's not a fuel supply device.
All right.
It's only a sight glass.
So they should both be closed.
All the time, except when you check them.
And you should check them both open.
Correct. Air at the top, fuel or liquid at the bottom.
Gotcha.
So you've closed them now, and that one at the top was open.
It was open when we first checked it. That's correct. And then we also found this fuel line was closed. So we need to talk to the dock master who moved the boat. Why was that closed? Because that goes to this fuel filter on the starboard engine. So
That's confusing.
what is
That's
that it's
concerning.
closed? Yeah, that is confusing. But that sight glass is not confusing.
Right.
You just have to learn how to use it.
Correct.
And it tells the truth.
Yeah. So you check it by opening or closing, opening both, and then closing when you're done.
Correct.
And then, yeah. Now, because the fuel gauge upstairs showed us pretty low,
Very low.
and it's correct. And the point was that the fuel gauge sending units weren't working. In other words, he didn't realize that you have to turn off the lower one to operate the upper one.
Well, if he's a surveyor who's been in business for a while, he should know that. And when he comes down here and sees that sight glass, he should compare that sight glass with the valves open to the electric gauge on the dashboard. So I never trust electric gauges, but that electric gauge is more believable now than it was an hour ago,
Correct.
or during the survey and the sea trial.
Yeah.
We were here in June, and it was 100 degrees